just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage.
And if anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you.
Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
With Broken Truth and Freedom Counsel, I'm John Davidson, and today I am joined by the incredible Dr. Ryan Cole. Welcome, Dr. Ryan.
Thank you, John.
So, I first learned about you, obviously, early on. You were a big advocate for early treatment and a lot of the frontline doctor kind of stuff. Were you in frontline doctors or associate?
For a window of time, yeah.
Okay. And then I covered the Washington Medical Board, what do they call it? Commission.
Medical Commission, yes.
And that was such a travesty of justice, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
To have to listen to that for a whole week.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But you are now on the other side of that experience. So what was you now?
Almost. So, yeah, we're about wrapped up with that. I think after the recent Supreme Court ruling against Colorado, the 8-1 ruling about free speech in medicine and free speech in therapy, Washington has reached out, and I'm hopeful. We're waiting to see what they say, but it looks like everything they did potentially can go away.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Well, I mean, the First Amendment matters. The Constitution matters. And there are still people in this country, I'll fight till the bitter end to win that case if I end up at SCOTUS myself. But I think they saw the light after that ruling that they were a little, overzealous.
So now what are you doing now?
I am now the head of medical and scientific affairs with the Independent Medical Alliance.
Oh, excellent.
And so doing a lot of policy work, a lot of state legislative work, federal legislative work, visits at HHS, a lot of educating, different conferences, different meetings, and trying to keep up with my 6 daughters wherever they are in the world at any given time, and running my organic farm, and
6 daughters.
And doing webinars and podcasts and teaching, and
oh my gosh,
just making sure that help people know how to be healthy and well in the simplest ways.
Yeah. And today you gave a presentation on red light therapy?
Photobiomodulation, yes.
My wife is really into that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first construct I like to share and teach, that I have many mentors in the field that I've learned from. Let me start with a story. So, tore my bicep tendon on my farm 3 years ago.
Okay.
Throwing a bale of hay, got away from me, rip, ouch. Went to my physical therapist. He said, oh, well, that'll be twice a week for 4 months. We'll get that tendon better. I'm like, well, okay, that's a pretty bad tear, blah, blah, blah. Happened to be at a meeting in Toronto, Canada, at a dinner that night at a friend's house. And she knew I'd hurt my shoulder. And she said, hey, there's a guy here that, runs a red light company. And I'm like, what's that? I had no idea. And he brought in a device. He's like, here, put it on where it hurts. Put it on, standing there, chatting away. 20 minutes later, he's like, okay, how's your pain? I'm like, well, it was a 7 out of 10. Now it's 2 out of 10.
Interesting.
And how about your range of motion? It was about 30 degrees better than it had been. I'm like, what kind of voodoo is this? This is a doubting Thomas, skeptic, scientist. I'm like, placebo effect. What the heck? So I took it home with me twice a day. Instead of 4 months, I was better in 4 weeks.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, there's something to this.
Yeah.
Well, I started diving into the literature, and I realized this guy in Finland, Vladimir Heiskanen is his name, put together the photobiomodulation database of all the literature that's already been published and out there. You don't learn about this in medicine. There's 8,000 papers in the literature 3 years ago. Now there's about 10,000. And I'm thinking, well, if light can heal a tendon, what else can it do? And so I've done a deep dive into it and followed like the godfather of light therapy, Michael Hamblin out of Harvard, who's now emeritus, but Roger Schwelt out of Loma Linda, Jack Cruz, does all sorts of folks, and realized we are out of cycles of light and nature and sunlight, and we not only have a bad junk food diet in America, but we have junk light.
Yeah.
And so it's been a journey of learning, and then a journey of teaching others on how they use light for healing different conditions. But most important of all is getting back into the rhythms of life, getting up, meeting the sunshine, setting your body clock, getting a healthy, real life, real world experience instead of being in a box with fake light all day long.
Right. It's interesting because I guess around 2020, a lot of progress was made in switching, street lights to LEDs, and everybody in your house had to have an LED now because the regular incandescent bulbs were pretty much banned.
They were.
And, the consequences to that sound like what?
Horrendously bad for mood, for vision, for sleep cycles, for circadian rhythms, for cancer. And this is one that gets ignored. Night shift workers have far higher cancer rates of many types because they're exposed to... In nature, you never get blue light without a balance of red light. And that's why you need to be out in the sunshine. And if not, the good old incandescent light bulb had the full spectrum of light in it. And we think, oh, we're saving the planet, blah, blah, blah. You're not, because only 6% of our energy costs actually go into lighting. The rest of it goes to our big compressors, air conditioners, refrigerators, all the other equipment in our home that we don't think about. Only 6% goes to lighting, and we think we're saving the planet with a light bulb. No, we're starving ourselves and starving our own endocrine system and starving our own signaling pathways and our energy pathways and messing up our blood sugar, messing up our mood and all sorts of things. So again, it's this reductionism where we change one thing because we think we're doing something good. And, Mother Nature is no fool. She knows what we need.
Yeah.
And we keep doing reductionist things to think we can do it better than her.
It's really interesting, the world that we're in now, because medicine seems to be at a crossroads. On one hand, the Orwellian systems are getting more Orwellian.
Oh, yes.
And then you have IMA and more open-minded groups that are saying, hey, there are other therapies that we haven't really addressed, like red light therapy or DMSO or chlorine dioxide, things like that.
And the irony of that is, the light therapy stuff goes back to the Nobel Prize in 1903. Dr. Finsen, who received that prize, a Danish physician, was healing scarring from smallpox and from skin tuberculosis with a carbon arc red light lamp in 1903.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, medicine forgets.
Yeah.
These modalities that have worked for many things for many years, but yet a lot of those things you can't patent and don't make big money, so they get tucked in the drawer of the memory hole, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, why are we all so sick? Well, we got away from the basics.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier before the interview that you're working on research into glyphosate. Is that?
Oh, yes. So, I go down all the rabbit holes, and I run a small regenerative organic farm out in Idaho. So we have a wonderful little patch of the earth that we grow about 9 acres of vegetables. I raise lambs and cows and ducks and chickens and about 200 fruit trees. It's just amazing to work with the earth in the cycles and the way that she works and how abundantly she produces. And yet, the majority of what we eat in our food systems have trace glyphosate. Now, people are like, oh yeah, it's just an herbicide, kills the weeds. Well, actually, in the early 2000s, as well as in 2010, Monsanto, before they were bought by Bayer, patented glyphosate as a broad-spectrum antimicrobial. So it kills healthy fungi, it kills parasites, it kills our healthy gut bacteria, it kills the soil bacteria. It also binds the minerals, the healthy minerals that we need for so many of our amino acids to turn into proteins for so many body functions. I won't give a deep science lecture right now. The basic point is, when you sit down at a table in the average American home or restaurant, you are getting a dose of an antibiotic without informed consent every time you put that fork to the mouth. We are literally being dosed with an antibiotic, killing the health of our microbiome, killing the health of our body, and then we wonder why everybody's sick. And it's not just that. I mean, it's the atrazine that has endocrine effects, and we wonder why children are confused about whether they're a boy or a girl. We have the paraquats and diquats and wonder why, cancer rates are going up. And there's just so many things that, I say it tongue in cheek, but it's almost death by government.
Yeah.
And then these companies are about to get immunity protection like the vaccines have gotten.
Right.
Because the lobby for big ag and all these poison companies are basically paying off our congressional members to say, hey, you can never sue these companies either. If something goes wrong and somebody dies from cancer, or from metabolic disorders or autoimmune conditions, or, highest rates of Parkinson, farmers and golfers. Why? That's where they spray it the most. And it's just crazy what we don't know. I mean, knowing's half the battle. And then you fight the battle of let's get rid of this junk.
Yeah.
Look, I run a farm. Do I have weeds? Sure. Do I have pests? Sure. But is there a balance in nature where the earth is going to make enough anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. And so this has become kind of a very big interest of mine because, we talked about light, but we're also talking about antibiotics in our food. And the system is like, gosh, we're going to have to research this or go down this rabbit hole and why are we so unhealthy? I'm like, you're poisoning our food and you're poisoning our light. Why do you think we're sick?
You're poisoning water,
and you're
fluoride.
filling our bodies with genetic injections and fluoride and all the things. It's okay, our water's poisoned, our air is poisoned, our medicines are poisoned, our food is poisoned, our light is taken away. Wonder why we're not doing so well.
Right. Now, your experience and your expertise is as a pathologist.
Correct. Yeah. And I also did many years of moonlighting in emergency rooms, urgent cares, family medicine clinics. I'm a pathologist by profession, but also with a lot of clinical background. And so I think of the patient as a whole. So yes, I understand the cellular mechanisms and the cellular processes, but I put that back into the picture of thinking like a clinician. And so, yeah, I'm the observer at the scene of the crash, basically like a reporter. I don't cause the crash. I don't prevent the crash. I report what's in the crash, i.e. the cancer, the infection, whatever it is. And I'm the doctor to the doctor and help them understand what condition their patient has so they can treat. But at the same time, I bring in that mindset of having been that clinician on that side of the equation as well, treating the patients.
So, Dr. Cole, where's the best place to stay up to date with your work and what your research?
Yeah, the easiest are at Dr. Cole, spelled out DOCTOR, at Dr. Cole on X, as well as at Dr. Cole, spelled out on Substack.
Great. Well, I'm really grateful that you took time to meet with me.
My pleasure, John.
Congratulations on the IMA.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what you do next.
Going to do a lot of good things. Thank you.
I believe in the Constitution. I believe that one case, the right case, can change the world. If you believe this too, Freedom Counsel is for you. Pursuing a major case can be overwhelming, but we provide a community of practice so that you have the resources available to support your case. My name is Warner Mendenhall, and we are Freedom Counsel. Join Freedom Counsel today. freedomcounsel.org.